Good Monday evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Hi, Nikki. Hi, DL.
Hi.
And to all of those that are joining us, welcome to Monday with Mountain Mamas. It's so great to be here. We are going to have more guests joining us, so bear with us. But this should be a great conversation, one for the books, honestly. That's the best I can say here. And we're going to break things down a little bit about 2020 elections. We're going to talk to the candidates and learn what worked and what didn't, and how we're going to move forward as Mountain Mamas. And so before we get into all of that great stuff, I'm going to turn it over to our fearless leader, DL Hamilton, to say welcome and get some other folks online. So there you go. You're live, DL. You're ready. Hey, DL, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Oh, there were just jewels of wisdom that I imparted while I was on mute. Let me know when Delegate Fleischauer gets on, because she is in Charleston, and she's going to pop in as soon as she can. And we've got Debbie, right? So that we will get to her as soon as you know that she's backstage, Sarah, because she has rulemaking tomorrow, but we're glad that one of the 4 delegate Mountain Mamas is with us, and that's the rough part of coming here tonight, because politics is a rough business, and it was true, and it is true, that 8 Mountain Mamas was not enough, and we knew that one was running for county commission, and Linda Longstreth was successful in her run for Marion County Commission, but we lost 4 more, which was rather shocking. They were strong delegates who ran strong campaigns with a strong message, and we only gained 1 non-incumbent Mountain Mama, that is Kayla Young from House District 35 in Kanawha County. We hope that she can join us later, but where 8 is not enough, we are down by half. But as you know, even those 4 women will change the voice and will change the face of the West Virginia legislature. And we just have to regroup, rethink, rework a few things. And that is going to happen without me, as I started Mountain Mamas in 2018 because I had retired, and I wanted a way to stay engaged in a way that met my values, and I thought working to get more women in the legislature would be a good use of my time. And I don't know if it speaks to my effectiveness, or if it was just the year of between COVID and Trump coattails, and there was just a lot of things that we've all been hearing had an impact on this election. But I guess I can say that when I started Mountain Mamas, there were only two what I considered forward-thinking women in the legislature. So we've still doubled that number as I get ready to leave, only because I am taking another job and going out of retirement. And so at the end of this show, we'll introduce you to the women that are going to carry on behind the scenes for Mountain Mamas. And hopefully Barbara will be on soon, but right now I'm really glad to see that there were two women, at least one of whom has already vowed that she's running again. There were 17, I think, non-incumbent mamas running, and already some of them have vowed that they will run again. Others have vowed that they will never run again. I think Nikki is probably in between on those things. So I think we should just take some time to hear from the women who ran, and as they sit here tonight, what they're thinking.
Well, DL, you have definitely created something amazing here, and I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege, if I could, and just say how grateful I am to have gotten to know all of you. And for those of you that have never run for office, or maybe just aren't interested, this is a tough thing to do. It overtakes every part of your life. And we had women who not only had families, but they had careers and jobs and other responsibilities, but they took up that mantle and they went with it, and they did an amazing job. And so I just want to thank all of you for everything that you've done to make West Virginia a better place. And I am sad because I feel like there are so many mothers and sisters and daughters that aren't being properly represented in our legislature, because we actually have the lowest number of women legislators in our state legislature. So that means that we don't have much voice at the table. So the courage and bravery and the wisdom, oh my gosh, such smart, amazing women. You guys are just fabulous. And Nikki, I'm going to go to you first, because let me tell you, 2020 has thrown a ball at all of us, but let me tell you, they threw a curveball to you, because not only are you an educator, but then you got appendicitis, and you were running for the legislature. So I guess what we would like to hear is, how was the experience? Maybe get a hint on what your future plans are. What would you do differently next time? Maybe just random thoughts from Nikki.
So many things I would do differently, but most of those I learned through interacting and being tutored, I guess, from Mountain Mamas. You guys have taught me so much about politics, and I truly do hate politics. I am a teacher. I've always been a teacher and always will be. And I threw my name into the ring because I thought that I had a perspective that was unique and that could actually evoke some good change for West Virginia. And then, after I do that work, I could just pop back out and hand the torch over to someone else, and then I could go back to my career as an educator. But what I would do differently next time is probably a more aggressive campaign, more assertive. It was really difficult with COVID looming over all of us and not being able to go and meet with people. So I'm assuming that 2 years from now, that'll be changed and I'll be able to go and actually meet with people. I feel that I'm better in person. And, and we're online right now, but it's really difficult to get a lot of the nonverbal nuances when we're simply doing videos and doing online advertisements and sending a postcard and trying to get as much information as possible on the postcard without overwhelming the reader. So I think I could come up with a better plan if I choose to run in 2022. And so far, that is my plan. I would like to run again. I'm a little worried about West Virginia because it seems to be that it's so completely red. It's no longer a purple state. It's red. Okay, and I think that it's probably going to be red for a long time. And I don't want to get into the legislature to be ineffective. I want to make some changes that I think will be comprehensive and for the greater good.
Let's see, we've got another guest joining us, and it is Delegate Barbara Flashauer. So I'm going to add her to our screen, and then DL, I'm going to hand it over to you first.
Yes, thank you so much, Delegate Flashauer, for joining us. I failed to mention the 4 Mountain Mamas that will be returning or first time going to the legislature. Our first timer is Kayla Young, and Lisa Bixby Zukov from the Northern Panhandle will be returning. And Mon County sent us back both Danielle Walker and Barbara Flashauer. But Barbara Flashauer, is she on here? Yes. I just want to thank you so sincerely and so profusely, not just for your leadership and for your wisdom in the legislative process and legislation itself, but your mentorship of these Mountain Mamas. I mean, watching you, listening to them, asking them questions, helping them, I mean, was just an inspiration to me and just made every minute I have spent on Mountain Mamas worth it, because I saw the real help and the real support and the real reason for Mountain Mamas to exist. But I am most pleased right now to announce to everyone that in this last election, Barbara Flashauer received more votes than any other House member in her reelection. So in an election that there's not many things to feel good about, Mon County continues to be a bright spot in the state of West Virginia, to not only send us some great legislators, but to send the #1 vote getter in the House of Delegates. So what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I have always felt that there's never been an election where I wasn't unhappy about something. And so this time, they're happy about some things and unhappy about others. And this time, I feel like I almost can't be happy about something really good that happened for me, because there's so much. I mean, I'm happy about Biden, but, I'm really worried about the Senate. I'm happy about my election and that we brought 4 of our Fab 5 back, but we left 1 on the sidelines. I'm very sad that I got to say 4 is not enough. 4 out of 8 is not enough, and it's not 21. And so I'm really sad about that. But I've been thinking a lot about it and trying to figure out what it means. And we just got whomped. We hit with something major. And last night I talked with a friend of mine, Joni Jenkins, who is the minority leader in Kentucky. And they also have 25 members. And Kentucky is very similar to West Virginia. I mean, they also have 100 members in the House, and they're down to 25. And so it feels like whatever roared slowly but surely across the South has now hit West Virginia and Virginia full steam. But then there's Georgia, and so we're in some very weird kind of current. And you know, we had a person in the office of president who felt like it was his mission to tear us apart and to demonize Democrats. And it was very successful, except in certain urban university areas. So we only did well in certain pockets. And we got clobbered where this kind of demonization was more successful. And we're going to have to figure that out. You know, what does that mean and how do we combat that? Because one thing about politics is things don't stay. Do I need my earphones? Are you guys getting feedback from me?
Sounds good.
Okay, right. So I want to say thank you to DL for coming up with this whole notion of Mountain Mamas, because it's really, really important. And I want to say thank you to Sarah for helping us during the pandemic get our message out in ways that we couldn't. Thank you to everybody who ran for office, because it takes guts. And it doesn't take guts just to jump in. It takes guts to jump in. It takes guts to stay in. And it takes guts to hold your head high and figure out what's the next step. So I am very grateful to all the Mountain Mamas, past, and let me say future, because we deserve to be 50%. We deserve it. And we just have to figure out how. I mean, we're more than 50%. We deserve to be the feminist majority. That's what we should be. And so we have a lot of smart people in our group, and we're just going to have to figure out what happened here and what is the best way to respond. That's sort of what I'm thinking now. And clearly, there were some things that happened in rural areas, more rural areas, that we're just going to have to figure out. And together, because it did not happen in my area. And I, you know, but anyway, I just want to say thank you. This is a season for Thanksgiving. We're all here. We're safe, and we survived this, and we're all going to learn from it. And so let me throw the thanks to all of you, and thank you to Patty and to Susan, to say you're going to carry this on and figure out how we go forward, because we are forward moving, forward thinking.
Always.
Forward ever.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Delegate Flashauer, that again, I can't echo enough what DL said earlier about your mentorship and the leadership that you've displayed, and again, the really good counsel that you've provided, and not in an overpowering in your, you really asked some very thought-provoking questions, of candidates as to the questions that they had. And so I thought that was a really great way to get all of us to think outside of, I guess maybe some tunnel vision that we had, and outside of 2020 and the horrific year this has been. So thank you so much. And I know that you're got a rules meeting tonight, correct? So you can't stay with us, which we're kind of bummed out about, but we are so grateful that you popped on and joined us this evening. And I know you're going to go get to work again for the people of your district. And thank you so much for everything.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I guess I want to say, I have never looked forward to New Year's Eve so much. This has been such a bad year. And what I think we should do is just end it with a bang and figure out how to move forward and what the next step is. And so I'd like to hear from the rest of you. What are your, let's talk about New Year's resolutions now. Anybody? Nikki, what's your New Year's resolution?
I don't typically do New Year's resolutions, but I do sort of, I don't know, plan out the year, and basically what that entails is things that I'm most grateful for, basically bolstering that part of my life, those parts of my life, you know, vacations with the kids and different things of that nature. But as far as personal resolutions, I am constantly improving, and you know, that's just a part of my life anyway.
Well, they say
I'm a teacher, so I'm a planner, and you know, plans, I like to tweak them and improve them.
Well, let's plan early. I am done with this year. I'm done with it. So you know, if you're grateful, you live longer. There's a lot of research on that. So I think that's a really good thing to be in 2021. Patty, what's your New Year's resolution? What are you going to do to make yourself feel good and useful and all those things?
Well, let me add, one of them is that she has resolved to be the new president of Mountain Mamas.
Oh,
So, and I was the treasurer as well, but I partly persuaded her to do this by getting Susan's agreement to be the treasurer. So
nobody wants me in charge of numbers.
Yeah, me either.
So there are a few things that we have to change up, but that is one thing that she has resolved to do that is going to make my new year better.
And plus, you know, that's one thing that a leader does is give people new areas of responsibility. So, you know, your legacy is to pass on. And if it's too much to do for one person, I think it's perfect to divide it up and think how we might do it. So, Patty, since you didn't get a chance to answer, what in addition to being president, because your sister butted in, what do you want to do in 2020? What's your resolution?
I hope not to screw up Mountain Mamas, because then I'll just get the end of it. But I think I segue well after Nikki, because she's a planner. I'm a planner, but one of my favorite all-time quotes is, "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans," as a John Lennon quote. And this year was an entire year of life is what happened when we all had lots of other plans. So I think this has made us all a little more grateful and mindful of anything we do with other people. So seeing friends becomes more special. Seeing grandchildren, just simple little events just become a big deal. So I think
they're so unusual.
Yeah, so it's made I think it's given us all a new appreciation of our lives, which may not have seemed all that exciting, just kind of ordinary, but gosh, we had plans once.
Big plans.
Yeah.
Good question for tonight, Barbara. Thank you.
And how about you, Debbie? What do you think about 2021?
Oh, I just want lots of changes. I can't wait to get this year over with.
Me either. And are they going to be personal changes, national changes, state changes? What are you thinking?
Well, a little bit of everything. I want to try to work on a lot of misconceptions that people have about different issues. Like this, everybody's, we don't want to, they're going to take our guns away, you know, that sort of thing. It's like, they just lots of things. So I just want to meet with people, or well, whenever
And
we finally
listen,
can meet with
and
people,
listen. Yeah.
and really just work on different things like that, because I think that hurt a lot. Just a lot of the misconceptions that people have.
I mean,
on the different
there's
issues.
no one in the world who ever said, ever in the history, that we want to take guns away. I mean, you're right. It was a fabrication.
It was a fabrication.
Right.
Well, and not only that, but people don't understand how difficult that would be to begin with.
Right.
To amend the Constitution.
There's
is
so
not
many
so-
millions and millions of guns out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just difficult. Again, from the legislative process to the actual removal process, you're talking something so overwhelming, and the chances of passing is so slim that we're really, worried about something that's not going to happen. But it's a great political soundbite, and it was thrown around a lot. And unnecessarily.
Have emotions in people, and that's the way to get votes. And maybe we could just have a Mountain Mamas, we'll go target shooting or something.
I'll bring the targets.
I'm totally in.
Well, there was this one time, there was a fundraiser that this one guy suggested that was like an old appliance shootout. That you could shoot like with an old dishwasher or washing machine, and you could shoot it up. I mean, that sounded, or even a coffee maker that never really worked, or a food processor. We've had so many of them. I would love to shoot them up. Susan, what are you going to do fun in 2021? Or what are you going to do? Why do you want, what do you think you can do to make the year better in 2021 for you?
Well, I tell you what, I'm not going to worry about me because life is good for me. I want to make life better for West Virginia. And so here's my goal for 2021. I'm going to recruit 100 women to donate $5 a month to Mountain Mamas. And that will make 2021 a better year, and that will make 2022 a better year.
Well, you win tonight, Susan. That's it. You win.
She really was a good choice for treasurer.
Yeah.
I don't think Logan and that district really understand what they lost when Susan did not get elected. I cannot convey in mere words what talent she brings, and the knowledge and experience and level-headedness and calm, but determination and fortitude. So you guys, too bad.
I mean, it was
feel
so
for you.
interesting when one of the things she said was, because we did that she brings the E's into delegate of education and experience and whatever the other E was. And she said, I think education and experience hurt me, which hurts me to think that that is not what people want. They want some message of values that there is just absolutely no one that has better family values and social values, and you are just a valuable person, and if people are value oriented, they should have realized that you would have been the absolutely best one. And to think that you thought, oh, I have too much education and experience.
Or that she worked too hard. Or that she doubled the effort. And I mean, it's just so frustrating to think that all of us worked really hard and we didn't. Usually hard work equals accomplishment, and that didn't happen this time.
Certainly not in the usual way.
No. I mean, a lot of people were a lot of people who won didn't work at all. Very little. There are a lot of people who almost won on the Republican side. Like one of our candidates sent this little bitty card that was in black and white that I saw in the last 3 elections, and she almost won with that feeble effort. So Sarah, what about you? Let's turn this around and ask the moderator a question. Why are you looking forward to 2021? And what do you think your goal is for 2021?
Well, that's a pretty easy answer for me. So as you all know, my background is working in the executive and legislative branches. And when I came back to West Virginia in 2007, I'll never forget one of the first radio interviews I heard, which was some guy being interviewed down near Logan. And it was the toss-up between a black man and a woman. And he said, well, I don't want to vote for no black woman, but a black man, but I ain't going to vote for no woman. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need to go back to where I came from. And I was so disturbed by that. And then as I stayed in West Virginia, and I've seen the fact that we don't have effective representation for women and for children specifically, I'm probably going to pivot my business to focus more on helping women run for office, helping women with all the tools and they need to be effective in campaigning and messaging and all of the things that requires to be an effective candidate, which then of course leads into being an effective legislator. So, I'm a woman of few talents, but it's just that important to me that we have. West Virginia is only as good as the women and children in our state, and we suck. We're just so bad. And what we've been doing for the last 100 years is not working, people. And by generalizing one party or a person by a single issue is really stymieing the progress of the entire state, regardless of what party you're in. You're not doing yourself any favors by generalizing or pigeonholing someone into a particular category. So yeah, I think that's probably I want to get this house sold and spend some more time with my family. And yeah, that's, just enjoy every moment and dedicate my time and effort and my career to helping more women get elected.
Okay. Well, I am going to have to pivot and move on to my next assignment, but I want to end with how much I am impressed with all of you and all of the candidates who ran. It takes guts. We have to learn from this and figure out, and I think we ought to have an in-person meeting to brainstorm sometime soon, because it's hard. The virtual forms of communication are better than no communication, but it's hard. So let's try to think about, we've got global warming, maybe we can do it outside. And let's think about that, or else think about doing it. Well, I don't even know how. You can't plan if you don't know what the weather's going to be, and you don't know what the weather's going to be until the spring. But maybe the spring. Maybe maybe we could. I don't know. It's hard, but I want to say goodbye to you all for now, for temporarily, and thanks to everybody. And have as good of a Thanksgiving as you can, and same thing about the holidays in December. I wish the best to all of you, and I am not going anywhere.
Go get them.
Hey.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
And I can tell you, I will offer my hilltop getaway for use for all of us.
Yes.
You're just all welcome to come up. We got plenty of room.
Well,
No one will bother us. It'll be great.
I'm glad that she talked about Mountain Mamas getting together in the new year, and I hope that can happen But where you were talking about, I too have worked in the legislative and executive branches, but I am moving on to the judicial branch. And that is why I am getting out of the business and pleasure of politics. But there's all kinds of things that I want to get in place before the end of the year that will have Mountain Mamas keep on building, keep on growing. And, Susan's idea to get recurring donations, I mean, that's one of the things that I think really helps. She got us like only 3 or 4 starting in 2019. And I can tell you, it brings a smile to your face every time that $5 or $10 donation comes in. And we still have swag for those that donate $50 or $100. And I'm going to show you all some Mountain Mama mugs that we might get as our new swag. But we have long sleeve Mountain Mama t-shirts now. And there will soon be a video on Facebook, but turns out that Patty's and mine were both in the wash, so we don't have them to show. So I decided to wear my West Virginia Resist t-shirt. And this is a symbol of a resistor in an electric current. And as I looked at it, you see that it has a West Virginia in the middle of it. So Claudette of T Graphics made me a special t-shirt to pull out that West Virginia. And as we've been talking, we are probably going to have some things we need to resist in the new year. And you were talking about generalizations. I mean, because Mountain Mamas speak for themselves and don't walk in lockstep. And, I was rereading our mission where it says, without being specific, we fundamentally agree on things that help women and family and small business, education, and the kinds of things that we think move West Virginia forward. But all we say is that we are forward thinking. I mean, how can you be more general than that? And yet we've just had an election that didn't even keep us in place. This election at the state level sent us back. And so I didn't ask for money from pretty much anyone through this election cycle, because with COVID and everything else, I made do with what I had. But we are going to try to do some fundraising prior to the beginning of the year. And then Susan's going to pick up where I leave off so that we can have some funds that will get the Mountain Mamas together, that will have a good fund for 2022 so that we can do real support for the candidates that decide to put their name on the ballot then. So our Mountain Mama long sleeve t-shirt will be up along with the other t-shirts soon. And just because I can't be political doesn't mean I can't try to keep moving things forward. I will still be spending as much time with women who are doing good things as I can. I will be rooting for you. I will be counting on you. And it is just such a pleasure that my sister Patty and Susan Perry, both former Mountain Mamas, both really smart, good planners with good ideas, creative, and work well with others, which is the biggest part about Mountain Mamas. I mean, I just feel so confident that that Mountain Mamas is going to continue to grow, and West Virginia is going to realize that when we say that 8 is not enough, that they're going to realize that, the more Mountain Mamas they have to help us plow our way through into a very uncertain future is the absolute best path to take. So I shall turn it over to our new president and treasurer. And
Patty, I understand, Madam President. I understand that you've got some voting statistics from this last election that you would like to share as well. I'm dying to hear about this.
I do. These are from the. They're actually on the Secretary of State's website, and they're not official yet, believe it or not. I don't think every county has to send it in, and they have to review it all, certify it. So unlike some people whose name will not be said, things don't happen on election night. They're not final. But the amazing news is there was a 63.17% voter turnout, and that is very high for West Virginia. 801,805 voters. McDowell, as it did in the primary, had the lowest, but even it was higher than it has been in the past few years at 42.44% turnout. And I double checked this on the list of counties because it seems a little surprising. Preston County had the highest voter turnout at 72.74%.
Wow.
And if I made a mistake, it's because I was doing it on my phone and looked at these numbers in a column. But I did double check it. And then Grant was the next at 72.39%. And the interesting thing, these two counties have long been Republican majority stronghold counties. And unlike, for several years, they didn't just recently change, but for many, many years. So that tells me a lot about who turned out to vote, that those two counties would be the highest. And also, they did find there was a distinct partisan difference between who voted early and absentee and who voted on election day. And on election day, the numbers of Democrats voting was much smaller than the number of Republicans voting, whereas it had been the opposite for absentee and early voting. But also on election day, a lot of what they call the infrequent voters, not the group that's not the likely voter, like the step down from that. They vote sometimes, but they're not reliable voters. That's was a group that turned out for the Republican Party on election day. So I thought that was interesting. There will be a lot of deep dives into the data for this election, I'm sure, and we'll learn more as they get all the final results and get them quantified. But I thought those things were interesting. It was certainly, I'm always pleased to see an election get a great turnout, even if it didn't get the results that we wanted. It did have a good turnout, so at least West Virginia got engaged and interested, just not in the way that we had hoped.
Well, and I want to just talk about that for a little bit because, in 2007, there was so much racial tension because, there was a lot of generalization with the first Black candidate running for office for presidency. And then it seemed like this year, if you were related to, if you had a degree like Susan, or if you were educated, college educated, then that seemed to work against you. And I would offer this to West Virginia overall. We are a good people, and we must not let anybody, any single person or any single issue take us from who we've always been. And it saddens me that essentially what I saw, and I'm going to speak personally here, that it seemed to me that the vitriol and the caustic commentary on a federal level really drove people to the polls, whether you were supporting it or whether you were against it. And that's a sad statement, that in order to become engaged, it has to get nasty. And we should be doing this no matter what. I mean, regardless of who is in office, we should all be voting every single election. And so it saddens me that, to an extent, it seems to me that it's like, okay, we're going to throw everybody in the ring and we're going to watch this big mud wrestling fight and we're all going to attend. And that's really not what it should be about.
That's a really good point. I think the vitriol drove up the numbers, and that's not a very positive reason for voting.
No.
Good point.
No, it's really a sad statement. And again, I think West Virginia is better than this. And we saw the turnout of people, of course, the racial divisions continue to escalate this year. West Virginia was, the site of some difficult conversations and difficult situations where some of our mountain mamas put their lives at risk with some of these individuals who were turning out to say they were not going to support racial equality. And so West Virginia is better than that. We've worked together, all races and faces, for many, many years in the mines, from the mines to any occupation. And that is not who we are as a people. And so I'm not sure where the fear is coming from, because the last time I checked, West Virginians were pretty fearless. And so for us to be kind of driven to fear by sound bites or by commentary that we know is not true, West Virginia, we really need to rethink who we are again. Because, I grew up in West Virginia where we were fearless, and we didn't have to have a national elected official tell us how to think or how to feel. We were able to do that just fine by ourselves. I'm not saying that we should exclude other ideas, but it just seemed to me that we allowed fear to dictate everything on both sides. I mean, I even hate to say that, but fear was on both sides of the aisle here. And that's not what should be driving us to vote. It should not be fear.
That's exactly right. There were very positive messages in this particular election cycle, did not get through very well. And they were met with fear, they were met with vitriol if you did have a positive message. So I totally agree with that. It's a very hard year to extrapolate any sort of trend in West Virginia. Trump was an unusually strong top of the ticket. In fact, it was a train that I don't think anyone saw coming. And then just the pandemic generally, it made it very difficult. So maybe the lesson was the quicker and meaner your message was, the more easily you got it across, because you're not being met in person. You're not going to friendly events where you do get out positive messages. So there's just a lot about this year that was very unusual. So I hate to even take what happened this year and apply it to 2022, other than the challenge of finding people who will run for office. So I'll work with Susan on that. I'm excited about that, to look for women who want to run for office. And we won't tell the real truth, will we, Susan?
and lots of women to support you, in this group. Yeah. And that's so if you're, out there watching, or you're on the replay and you're thinking, I've thought about running for office before, these women here will support you in that effort. We will provide you with tools and support and encouragement and blah, 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 blah. And Susan, you're very quiet. DL, you're muted.
That's because I muted myself.
Oh.
Which brings up our website, which we are working to update, although it is a somewhat heartbreaking undertaking, since there are so many beautiful faces and biographies that we will move to the archives and have our 4 Mountain Mamas being on the new cover of our website, which is mountainmamawestvirginia.org. But we've been thinking about, having a website that would be somewhat static over the next couple of years until the next election. But one of the things that we would like to add are some tips about running for office, and there's ways to contact Mountain Mamas if you're thinking about running for office. And so by year's end, our website, mountainmamawestvirginia.org, will be up and updated, and hopefully be getting communications from women all across the state who either want to help Mountain Mamas, help candidates, or want Mountain Mamas to help them be a candidate. Because one thing very different about the 2022 election, there will be 100 single member House districts. And it will be unknown how the Senate gets redistricted, but it's always going to be a goal for us to get a forward-thinking woman in the West Virginia Senate. But redistricting is going to be a big part of the next legislative session, and we want to have as many Mountain Mamas and as candidates in those single member districts as we can get, especially in Central West Virginia. Because we had more in the primary than in the general, but the Mountain Mamas tend to be on the border counties for the most part. Although Putnam County, Tess Jackson is already committed to running again. Debbie's committed to running again. Nikki's thinking about Cindy Welch running again. So it will be exciting to see who will step up. But
I didn't hear Susan's name in there.
No, thank you.
So you're going to lend your talents and efforts to other ways of getting people engaged and participatory in the election process, is what I'm hearing.
That is my strong point. During this campaign, I had a wonderful and very large group of volunteers all over the state who helped me. We had people all over the state, people in Parkersburg, people in Fayetteville, people in the Morgantown area who were writing postcards for me, as well as plenty of people here in Logan and Boone County. And so if I can help other women by channeling some of those resources out to our Mountain Mamas and to fundraising for our Mountain Mamas, then that's maybe what I was intended to do.
Well, you certainly worked as hard, if not harder, than any other candidate I watched this year. So, and I think it speaks well, and I wish the voters would have recognized this in your area, that when you have people volunteering for your campaign who will not benefit from your election in any way, they're not even in your district, they can't even vote for you, that says a lot about who you are as a candidate. And so, and that was the same for a lot of candidates, though. We had a lot of volunteers from different places helping women. And so maybe you don't want to, someone out there who's watching doesn't want to run for office. Maybe you'll take up Susan's mantle there and provide some support as a volunteer. Maybe you'll be on the boots on the ground in certain areas to talk to people and what are the issues that are important to them.
I just realized our 2 officers are the Mountain Mama who won the Honk and Wave contest and the one who absolutely failed the Honk and Wave contest, where she went out there and fainted and landed in the hospital. So that, the high and low of the Honk and Wave here.
Well,
I'm a weenie.
Well, let me tell you what, you women you're just amazing human beings. And I really hope that West Virginia again can kind of return to our, I don't know, standing on our own 2 feet and not listening to certain people or certain individuals tell us how to speak or think or feel or anything like that. And again, I'm just gonna talk to all the guys out there. You know, if you've got daughters, if you've got mothers and grandmothers and sisters, don't you want more women in the legislature to speak on their behalf? I mean, do you really think your dude friends can speak for your daughter? I mean, I'm throwing it out there. If they, you know, we all need representation, but I don't know that, you know, the same people can really speak on behalf of women and children who have been in office for a very long time, or, you know, again, we have a lot of really great legislators and a lot of wonderful elected officials. I do not want to take that away from anybody, but what we've been doing is not working. And we had a real opportunity this time, but I think, again, from the federal level, we were really caught in a whirlwind of I keep going back to the word vitriol and fear mongering, and people bought into it. And that's West Virginia. That's not who we are, folks. That's not who we are. You know, we look at the individual, and I hope that in the next election, we can come together and regardless of how you vote, be respectful and look at that individual as a person and not as a party. Because again, not all of these women did not agree on everything at all. And so, you know, to pigeonhole anyone here is a complete, it's just not a fair assumption to do such a thing. Get to know them. You may still disagree with them, but you know.
And as we are listening to the West Virginia legislature during this next session, perhaps you will recall the floor speeches and the bills that were sponsored by Delegate Margaret Staggers, Delegate Sammy Brown, Delegate Amanda Estep Burton, and Delegate Cindy Lavender Bowe. I mean, they were all strong voices for women, for children, for progress, for small business. You know, they were reasoned and passionate at the same time. And it's an unknown what some of these new legislators will get on the floor and speak to, and how they will speak, and what will result. But I truly believe that the 4 Mountain Mamas that were not reelected are 4 legislators who will be sorely missed in this next session.
Absolutely. It's going to leave a big gap in their respective districts as well, because again, when you send a new, someone who's never been in the legislature, it's a learning curve, people. It takes time. So you lost people who were very passionate about their areas and the people that they served, and took public service, respected that role, and took it seriously. And so I'm truly regretful for those places that lost that leadership. I think you're going to feel that impact, but I hope that with Mountain Mamas and through Mountain Mamas, we can continue these conversations on things we agree with and not agree with necessarily. Let's come together on the known truths that we know. Let's stick to the known truths and move forward in that regard. And again, our DL, are you crying?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought so. I was a little worried because, you know, you mentioned Amanda Estep Burton and Cindy Lavender Bowe and Sammy, and let me tell you, those women worked their butts off. But I mean, they were amazing, and the votes were close in some areas, very close. So again,
Staggers as well worked through. I mean, she couldn't really campaign. She's an ER doctor.
Well, and she got COVID.
And I'm thinking, we're in a time of pandemic, and somebody decides, let's don't have an ER physician in the legislature. It blows my mind. I'm like, she was such a perfect candidate for the time, and not only that, but having experienced it herself. But I would just say, if we could, all of us make a point, maybe a New Year's resolution, like we were started out with, to stop this sweeping generalization that you hear people making. All Republicans are this, all Democrats are this, all any group is. It shows a real ignorance when you sweep a broad brush across thousands or millions of people. It's just not true. And you see it more and more in incredibly simplistic and rather ignorant statements about many groups. But no large group of people is all anything. And so I think if we find ourselves doing that, just stop. It adds to the vitriol. It adds to painting everyone with one brush when even the 21 of the Mountain Mamas this year did not all agree.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Patty, as the new president, Madam President, what's our final words for final comments for tonight's live stream?
My final comment is, Sarah, I have your cell phone. I have your email.
I'll call you.
Susan, if it's numbers, it's going directly to you. Nobody wants me with the numbers. But all kidding aside, I am very excited. I was so proud of my sister when she started this. I thought it was a fabulous idea because I've done legislative lobbying for years and watched the number of women dwindle. I mean, we had some great women, and then all of a sudden we didn't have women, great or otherwise. So I'm very excited about that. And like Susan, I think I'm much better. I'm used to planning events and doing things for others. And I worked for 444 elected officials. So I'd much rather be the behind the scenes person. And I think Susan and I add a lot of institutional knowledge and experience. So I'm really excited to apply that and keep it going forward as we like to go. We like to go forward. That's the way to go.
Forward thinking. Well, to those of you that have joined us on
really, with the kind of results of this year, it's almost, give everybody a break from the election, but 2021 is the time to start. You don't wait till 2022. So I think we'll be fairly active in 2021.
And for those of you watching on live or on the replay, if you want to get involved now, go to the website, mountainmamaswv.org, and send us an email. Let us know you're wanting to get involved. And we're not going to go away. We may take a little break, but we are going to come back stronger and better and ready to take on the world if necessary, but at least West Virginia. So ladies, welcome to Patty and Susan in their respective fields. Nikki, I'm counting on you to say, yes, you're going to run again. Debbie, I'm glad to hear that. And DL, you've created something so amazing here. So I'm just going to end on a tremendous thank you for being the best cheerleader. I'm getting chills. The best cheerleader, the best encourager. You did a good thing.
Go team.
You've done a good thing. All right, everybody, we're out. We'll see you later. Bye.
I'm calling you.
Okay.